It's very likely that in a minute I'll be taking a long trade on the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. This is a 15-minute time frame, and I'm liking this this setup right now. Now there's a couple of minutes that I have that I can quickly explain what I'm seeing here. Price is pulled down into this level of support, was resistance, and now it's support. And I like that. I like that feature. But essentially what I'm looking at is the TBL is bullish. So we're looking only for long trades. And in this region here, the tetragram bars were gray. Before that, we had the big green tetragram bars suggesting that the trend is up, or verifying the trend is up. Now we've got the pullback, and this candle here is going to give us an aggressive entry. Now that's happened, so let's get into the trade. So we're in a long position. Now once this candle closed and the next candle opened, the TBS connects the two. So we have the line here. Now we have a spot where I can put my stop loss. So I'm going to put my stop loss just below the TBS. So we'll go 10 pips. The stop loss would be about 8.5. So let's go 9 pip stop loss. And with the 1-to-1, we'll go with a 9 pip take profit as well. Now, because it's the TBS that is where we're going to place our initial stop loss, we do not have the TBM yet to move the stop loss along. So the stop loss is going to stay under the TBM until we get, going to stay under the TBS until we get a TBM dot. The initial stop loss underneath the TBS, we're not going to move it. It's going to stay exactly where it is until we get a TBM dot, and then I can start trailing along that. So we're in what's considered an aggressive trade. The small green tetragram bar is giving us an aggressive signal. So we've got the TBL, the TBS, and the switch are in favor. The TBM is the one that hasn't turned yet. This is a little bit a riskier trade, but this is good. We're in this one, and the market is going to do what it's going to do. And right now, we're just going to allow the trade to run. Now, at this point, we're just going to let the trade go, and I'm going to come back if there's any kind of trade management that I can do. We get a TBM dot. I can start to manage the stop loss along that. I'll put the video on pause, and I'll see you in just a moment. Okay, we're back finally. Now, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 2.5 hours. This is a 15-minute time frame. 2.5 hours have passed, and I can start to manage the trade. We placed the stop loss below the TBS, and this was a good decision to not move it because we had a couple attempts at taking us out. It did not because of our stop loss location. Now the price has moved above, and the TBM has started printing dots underneath, started printing green dots, and now we can manage the trade along those TBM dots. So I'm going to finally get to do that. So I'm going to move the stop loss to underneath this current TBM dot. So for 2.5 hours, we've waited and waited, and finally we get to do a little bit of trade management. I'll be back when I can do more trade management. There's no management to be done just yet. Just we're getting fairly close to the take profit, and I'm here in order to capture that live as it happens. All right, we're right at that level, just a half a pip or so more, and we'll be taken out of the trade. Right at that level. There's been times where, there we go, we're out of the trade. I was going to say there's been times where I've gotten to that level before and then never been taken out and the trade turned around. And that's when trade management saves the day. But in this case, that wasn't the case. We had 2.5 hours of waiting in a sideways market. Our stop loss was placed under the TBS and it was placed well. We never got stopped out. It got approached a couple times, but it never happened. And finally, it did take off. That aggressive entry that we were looking for did pay off. The waiting paid off. We made our money. It was a nice trade.